Fan of hockey? If you are, of course you have a favorite team. Is it the Bruins? The Red Wings? Well, at my house, all we talk about is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Through the history of their franchise, they have had many ups and downs, going through bankruptcy and even attempting to move from the city of Pittsburgh. My name is Devin Shaner, and I would like to tell you more about their history. Starting with the start of the franchise, in 1966, they were granted permission, one of 6 teams, to join the NHL for the expansion. Their first game was played in October of 1967, continuing on to finish their first season with a record of 27, 34, and 13. Playing in the Pittsburgh Civic Arena, also known as the Mellon Arena, from the start of their franchise, all the way continued up to 2010. However, making playoffs 7 of their first 13 seasons, they failed to make it past the second round. In 1969, they drafted Michael Briere, who was only 20 years old. Unfortunately, during the playoffs of his first season, he was in a fatal car crash, which ended his playing career. A year later, he ended up dying. His number 21 is one of 2 numbers that the Pittsburgh Penguins have retired for jerseys. Moving on further, the 80s and 90s presented their own challenges. In 1983 and 1984 seasons, they finished with the worst records in the NHL. This gave them the opportunity in the 1984 draft to draft Mario Lemieux, who was known as the savior of their franchise. Making an immediate impact, he scored on the first shot of his first shift for the Pittsburgh Penguins, showing his greatness at such an early age. Over the next few years, they were contenders in the playoffs, but again, not making it very deep. During these years, they began to build their roster, adding defenseman Paul Coffey, goaltender Tom Barrasso, and in 1990, they drafted Jaromir Jagr. In the 1991 playoffs, they finally broke through with this super team, beating the Minnesota North Stars for their first Stanley Cup. On a side note, after their victory, they visited George H.W. Bush in the White House, becoming the first NHL team to do so after a Stanley Cup victory. Not taking them long, repeating for the next year in 1992, they repeated as champs against the Chicago Blackhawks. In 1997, Mario Lemieux announced his retirement after the end of the season due to battling injuries throughout his career and also a brief stint with cancer. The players were asked to take a deferment on salaries throughout their years, and Mario was hit the hardest, with the team owing him $32.5 million at the end of his career. In 1998, owing more than $90 million for franchise debts, the team filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Mario converting his debts into equity along with businessman Ron Burkle saved the franchise from bankruptcy, from closing down, and also saved them from moving the team. With their past struggles over, now it is time for the dynasty that we know today. Mario Lemieux in the early 2000s jumped in and out as a player and an owner, becoming the first owner to not only own a team but also to play in the league. In the 2004 draft, they used their second overall pick on Evgeny Malkin. The following season, the 2004-2005 season, the NHL was in a lockout, and there was a lottery pick for the number 1 overall, which the Penguins won. They used this overall pick to select Sidney Crosby. There was major talk about moving the team to Kansas City, Missouri, and after drafting Sid, they began to build the team around him, saving the team from moving once again. In the 07-08 season, they lost to the Red Wings in the Cup Finals, but exacted their revenge the following season, beating the Red Wings for their 3rd franchise title. In the 2010-2011 season, Consol Energy Center, now known as PPG Paints Arena, opened its doors to the stadium that we know that they play in today. A few years later, the 15-16 season, they won their 4th Stanley Cup franchise cup against the San Jose Sharks. Repeating once again a year later in the 16-17 season, they defeated the Nashville Predators for their 5th cup. This team has faced adversity throughout their 50-year career, and they owe a lot to Mario Lemieux, who not only as a player helped them win, but also owning the team, helping them draft key players and helping them win, saving them from collapse and moving on. The team we know now has had some of the best victories up to date, and if they continue on this path, the best is yet to come. Thank you for your time.